Hello and welcome to our first Dreamweaver website design project. In this series you'll learn how to build a complete website from start to finish using Dreamweaver CS6. You can use your own images and resources for this project, or if you prefer you can download all of the project files shown in these tutorials. You can also get the complete series manual in printed or ebook format along with the high definition video tutorials from wizibooks.com. In this lesson, we're going to be formatting the outer and the wrapper area. The outer area, we can see here, it's the grey line surrounding our web page. And the wrapper area is the area that's filled with black, and that contains all of our content. We can see the crumpled paper image that we placed on the background, and this is the body area. And I'm displaying this page on a widescreen monitor. But you may not be using widescreen, you may have a standard 3:4 aspect ratio monitor, and if you do, your web page may display like this. You'll see the outer area and the inner wrapper, but you may not necessarily see the background image. So let's just maximize that window. You'll also notice that the entire content area has been centered on the page, and we'll see how we do that as well during this lesson. So I'm going to minimize this now and come back to Dreamweaver, and I'm going to open up the main HTML document, and that takes us into the HTML code. We're actually going to be working on the CSS, so I'm going to come up to the related files area and click on the CSS so that we can see our code. Now these are the two areas we're going to be working with, so the outer and the wrapper areas. And we're going to be placing some code in these selectors to format the page the way we want it. I'm just going to flick back to the source code for a second, and I'm going to press F12 to preview our page as it is at the moment. And we can see here the black background, and we can see our content. And I'm going to be switching back and forth between this page and Dreamweaver and using the refresh button as we make changes so that we can see what's happening to our page as we're actually coding it. I'll minimize this one for a second, back into Dreamweaver, and we'll switch back to the CSS window. So the first thing we'll work on is the outer, and because I'm going to set more than one property in here, I'm going to arrange my code in a block format. So I'm just going to adjust this slightly. So now I've got my selector name, my opening and closing curly brackets, and if I click in between those, I can now enter each bit of code on a separate line. So the first thing I'm going to set is the width of the outer, and to do that I'm just going to type in width colon, and I'm going to make this 940 pixels. I'll finish off with a semicolon. So that sets the outer to 940 pixels wide. Now I'm going to center the outer area on the page, and to do that I'm going to use the margin settings. Now if I start to type margin, you'll see it appears in the code hints window. I can simply press enter, and here I can place a single value. So let's put 10 pixels. And we'll finish it off with a colon. Now because I've only entered one number here, this is going to place 10 pixels of margin all around my document. But I could use 4 separate numbers. So if I put 20px, 10px and 20px, this allows me to set the margin separately for the top, right, bottom and left. So the first number will set 10 pixels of margin at the top of the page. The second will set 20 pixels to the right of the page. The third number is the setting for the bottom margin, and the fourth number is the setting for the left margin. So I can set the margins individually like this. If I just have one number, it will set the margin all around my element. If I just have two numbers, so let's get rid of these, the first number will set a margin for the top and bottom, and the second number will set margin for left and right. And this is what we're going to use to center our outer div. But I'm not going to use 20 pixels. I'm going to have a margin of 10 pixels for the top and bottom, but I don't know what the margin should be for left and right. and that of course is going to vary depending on our monitors. So in there I'm just going to type auto. So I've got 10 pixels top and bottom, and it's automatically set for left and right. I'm just going to go and save that, and I'm going to switch back to our web page and use the refresh. And when I do that, you'll see that the contents of my page have now jumped over and is sitting in the center of the screen. Now at the moment we can still see the background image, and that's because we haven't placed a background color on our outer div yet. So let's do that now. I'll minimize this one, and still in the outer section I'll set the background color to that dark grey, and the hexadecimal number for that is #333. I'll finish it off with a colon, and again I'll go up and save, and let's go and refresh our page so that we can see. So now you can see that our outer area has been filled in with that dark grey colour. So let's minimize that, and now we'll start working on the wrapper area. And again I'm just going to arrange this so that the code fits nicely. And again, the first thing I'm going to do with the wrapper is set a width, and this is going to be slightly narrower. So I'm going to set this to 900 pixels. Finish off with a semicolon, and we'll also give this wrapper area its black background color. So again, background color, and the code for black is 000. I also want to center the content within the wrapper, so again I'm going to set the margin to 10 pixels auto. So now that we've made these changes, I'll save the file, and we'll switch back and preview in the browser. Refresh that, and there we go. We can see that we've got our grey outline, but it's not appearing at the top at the moment. So I'm going to need to add some padding to that outer div. So let's just minimize this. We'll go back to the outer div and we'll put some padding in here. So we'll say padding 10 pixels for the top and bottom, and we'll have 0 pixels for left and right. And you'll notice that I've used the px to indicate the value of measurement where I place a number, but it's not necessary to enter that px if you're just using a 0 value. So let's save that. Go and preview that one again, and you'll notice now that there it is. Along the top we've got that grey line, and in our black area we've got all of our content contained in there. Now we can still see the bullets at the moment in our list items, and that's a little bit distracting. So let's go and get rid of these bullets now. I'm just going to minimize this. I don't want any bullets to appear whenever I create a list in my website, so I'm going to come up to the reset area and I'll make a little bit of space there. Now these bullets are appearing in the unordered list items, so I'll create a rule to prevent that from happening. So I'll type UL, open and close curly brackets, and the property we want is list style. And we're going to set this to none. Don't forget the semicolon. We'll save that, and let's go and preview our page. And there we go, the bullets have gone. Now you'll notice right at the very top of the page our outer div doesn't quite touch the top, and that's because I placed 10 pixels of margin in the outer div. So let's just switch back to Dreamweaver and fix that. So we'll come back down to the outer div, and where I've placed a 10 here, I'm just going to get rid of that one and make it 0 auto. I'll save that, and let's go back and preview our document. And now you can see that that gap has been filled by the outer div. So our web page is really starting to take shape now. In the next lesson we'll start to format some of these elements and position them on the page. If you found this series of videos helpful and you want to receive updates on video tutorials as they're released, why not subscribe to my channel? And don't forget to like and share it with your friends.